Today is the National Budget Reading Day in Uganda, and it's always important to highlight how this impacts what have come to be known for treasury bonds. Right now in the budget, there is close to 27 trillion that is allocated towards treasury bonds and treasury bills or the government debt. And this is coming at a time when we have just said that the government's debt has almost surpassed 110 trillion. But on average, in what people have come to know to do a comparative rating is around 53% of the national GDP, which is still a really high but not yet scary. And out of the 27 trillion, we are almost starting to see close to 10 trillion allocated towards interest payments of bond and bills holders, securities holders. Now that is a high number. But depending on how you're looking at it, if you're looking at it from an investor's perspective, you are happy because you're going to make some good money in the coming year. That kind of gives you confidence that you're going to be paid in the coming year. If you're looking at it from a Ugandan's perspective, as a Ugandan, then you have to start to think. If we are about to allocate 10 trillion of the total budget to interest expense to securities holders, and when you have to compare our significant general income revenue, which is the taxes, we are collecting around 33 trillion to 35. That is close to 30% of our total revenue going to interest expense, which means for every 100 shillings, URA collects on average 30 is going to interest expense. Now that is high. Even when our national debt is to GDP is less than 60% for an LDC country, that's a really good number. Then when you look at it to other parameters, you start to pay attention. But we are not yet in the red zone, no. And as you read into the budget, you have to start paying attention on other things that the government is doing. But I want so much focus on the treasury bonds. If you're trying to invest in the treasury bonds or in the coming financial year, you have to pay attention that a new calendar is coming. It's coming in the first week of July. And what we are anticipating is it's going to introduce a new 20-year bond on the market, because the current 20-year bond, which had a big sell-off in the private offering, is going up to 2043. That means it has now 18 years, close to 17 years to go. So you do expect that the Treasury Department and Bank of Uganda, that they might introduce a new 20-year bond, and that it will go until 2043. How that impacts your investment decision, that we are yet to see. 2, the 5-year bond, which is the 2029, has 4 years to go. Would they continue it, or they will introduce a new 5-year bond? Will they introduce a new 5-year bond that has a 20% tax like it's supposed to be, or they will roll over one of the old 6-year treasury bonds that have a 10-year withholding tax, like we have been seeing in the current calendar? Remember, the 2029 bond right now we are dealing with, which is called the 5-year bond, was once a 15-year bond, which was issued in 2014. You see, so are they going to get one and they bring it back? If they do that, it's always a good case, because it means the tax is 10%. The tax isn't 20%. But how does that impact the government offering and the tax collections? Or will they introduce just a new 5-year bond? So those are the 2 bonds we're paying attention and waiting to see when the calendar comes out. The 10-year bond, which is the 2034, I anticipate the government might continue that, and the 15-year bond, which is the 2039, the government might also continue that. But we might not be surprised if we see government introducing a new 10-year bond, which will be the 2035, and they let the 2034 go with its own year. But at the end of the day, it's an amazing time, because when you look at what they're planning to raise in treasury bond, both the rollovers and the new borrowing and the interest payments, close to 27 trillion, which means they are coming to the market, which means it's an election period. So there are 2 different factors there that are impacting that, which we tend to see that they tend to impact the interest and the yield we see in the market. For the investors that are trying to do that, that is something that you have to pay attention to and take advantage of.